Welcome, ladies. It's appetizer week. What better way to start a week? It's the way we start every meal. I wanted to bring you to my yard today and just show you how I plated the appetizer that I'm going to share with you today. I think an appetizer is one of the most important things that we do. If we go into a restaurant and we have a fabulous appetizer, then we know the meal is really going to be good that follows. Even when I'm serving guests at home, when you have an appetizer that's very appealing, it makes your guests feel welcome, it makes them feel relaxed, and it makes them feel like that the meal to follow is going to be worth the wait. The recipe that I'm going to share with you today is actually called Artichoke Cheese Tarts. Philadelphia cream cheese should really be pleased with this one because we're using Philadelphia cream cheese in the crust and also in the filling. You start out with making your own crust. You use, again, 3 ounces of Philadelphia cream cheese that's been at room temperature. You use 1 stick of real butter. Now you can use either, but I actually prefer the salted butter. I don't know why, it just tastes a little better to me. Then I use 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, not much at all, and then I cream those two together. I always use a pastry cutter to cut the cream cheese and the butter into my flour, but naturally, you know, when something's really important to you, it tears up, and of course that's what happened this time. So you're going to have to bear with me as I use my trusty fork here to cut in my flour. It's really not hard, like I said before. If everything's at room temperature, it's very easy to do anyway. Takes you just a few minutes. You just have to incorporate the butter, the flour, the cream cheese until you make a soft dough. Once you have the dough incorporated, it comes out kind of in a blob. It's thick enough to work with, but what you're going to do is, even additional to the amount of flour that you put in the recipe, you're going to add a little additional flour to your board. And I'm actually just going to put this out on the board and get it to a nice consistency. You know, I really wish that I could tell you to do it X number of minutes or how long, but it's just a thing that you just have to kind of feel. You just have to incorporate the flour into the dough until it comes to a texture where you know that you can work with it. I just knead it back and forth a time or two, and I can, maybe I've just done it long enough that I kind of know how it feels, and I know that it doesn't begin to stick to the board or anything. And then I know it's ready. Once I have the dough ready, I make my process pretty simple. I don't roll it out and cut it. I guess I've just learned over the years, I've done it enough times, that this particular recipe will make exactly, if you're careful, 16 pastry tarts at one time. So what I normally do is I just keep incorporating the flour until I pretty much use that up. I just take my hand and pinch off a little ball. It usually bakes about, I'm going to guess that's maybe 1.5 inches or 2 inches, and I just keep doing that until I end up with 16 balls. Once I've rolled out the 16 balls, I begin to just place them in the muffin tin. I take the little pastry molder, dip it in the flour so it won't stick to the pastry. If you'll notice, if you'll do that each time and you push the dough down into the pastry cups, they all just come out so uniform every time. I've tried this with my fingers, and trust me, if you have any fingernails at all, you just are punching holes in your dough and you're wasting your time. This just makes it so much easier, makes it prettier, makes it more uniform. So that's just a really, really easy way to do it. Once you have your muffin tins filled and you have them shaped, as I told you, with the little dough molder, I guess is what you call it, then you're going to make the filling. A lot of people, if they're not watching, would assume that you would cook the pastry first, but you don't. It's not necessary. What you're going to do now is you're going to take 3 ounces of Philadelphia cream cheese once again. You're going to take 12 ounces of marinated artichoke hearts. You really want the flavor of the marinated artichoke hearts instead of just the plain. It just makes the dish much better. You're going to incorporate those two together. And then we're going to add, and let me tell you this, when you take your artichokes out of your jars, you're going to find that they're very, very soft to the touch. And you know, you can do that one of two ways. You can take a knife and chop them up if you want to. You could actually take your hands and mash them up. But they're very, very easy. They're very, very pliable. They're very easy to mash up. But you do want to chop those up or mash those up or however you prefer. But you want those in smaller pieces, okay? Then we're going to add a bunch of green onions. Because of the color and the way it turns out after it's baked and the way it looks so pretty, I like to incorporate somewhat of the green. Now what I just used there was a total ½ cup of green onions. You can sometimes measure it out by, I think I have seen this recipe written, some of my friends put down that you use 4. I think you just have to kind of be the judge of how much that you like in it. I think that if the green onion, you know, is really big, you're not going to use but 3 or 4, but I would just go and say by measuring by about a ½ cup of green onions. Then we're going to take 4 eggs, and we're just going to take a fork and slightly beat them. What you want to do is just get your eggs to incorporate together. Make sure that the eggs are mixed well. Then we're going to add those to the artichokes and the cream cheese and the green onions. We're going to mix in the eggs. Then we're going to add 8 ounces of grated sharp cheddar cheese. If you prefer extra sharp, by all means use that. This is just the sharp cheddar cheese. We're going to incorporate this. Then we're going to take 1 entire sleeve of saltine crackers. I know that sounds like a lot, but I have found over the years that it just about takes the entire sleeve. If you decide after you bake this one time that you don't want yours quite that much, you know, thick, you can, you know, lessen the saltine. But I like to use in the whole sleeve. So what I do is just put the entire sleeve of saltine crackers down in a baggie, and I take a rolling pin and just roll over it until I get it crushed. We're going to add the saltine crackers. You don't have to salt and pepper this because of the marinated artichokes give you plenty of flavor to begin with, and then you're going to have plenty of salt in your saltine crackers, so you don't have to add any salt or pepper to this. I had told you in the beginning that your pastry, the way that I gave it to you, is going to make 16 mini muffins. So you have enough filling to probably make, in fact I did it, you have enough to make 60 muffin tins. So if you don't want to save this or to use it at a later date, like the next day or something for breakfast, you can certainly double your amount of dough, make more muffins than the 16, but you'll just have to double your recipe. Then I take a spoon and I just fill the muffin tins. We're going to stick this in the oven at 325 degrees, depending on your oven, somewhere between 25 and 30 minutes. You're going to have an incredible appetizer.